For decades, the LGBTQ community has suffered in silence without any help. Finally, when the marriage equality for LGBTQ was announced in 2016, it was supposed that all LGBTQ discrimination would magically disappear. Even though it was a huge milestone, the truth is that discrimination is still very much present and hatred is still prevalent. Many people still believe that the LGBTQ are lucky to have the freedom that they have and should happily accept it and move along. These people turn a blind eye time and time again when it comes to LGBTQ discrimination and struggles. Homophobia is especially prevalent in minorities such as Black, Hispanic, and Asians. Many minorities claim LGBTQ people as unnatural and fake. These hateful stereotypes are considered a cultural norm. This is also known as institutionalized homophobia. These negative attitudes force people who identify as LGBTQ people to keep their identities hidden. The most important step to removing homophobia from these environments are abolishing laws that legalize same-sex conduct or discriminate against gender identity. The punishment that these laws call for usually include arrest, imprisonment, and even killing. For example, punishments in Nigeria for same-sex activity are death by stoning or 14 years of imprisonment. These laws force the practice of extreme homophobia in these countries and culture. Removing them will make sure that no human is mistreated due to their sexuality under the name of law. Additionally, the Human Rights Campaign have been actively working towards the Bill of Equal Treatment Act. The organization claims it will provide consistent and explicit non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ people. This will include employment, housing, education, public spaces, and services. Putting this act in place will grant constitutional rights to LGBTQ people and thus it will ensure that they are being treated equally in all settings and aspects of their life. In addition to the discriminatory laws, many schools also serve as grounds of bullying against LGBTQ students. Schools are known to be nationwide hostile environments for a distressing number of LGBTQ students, the overwhelming majority of whom routinely hear anti-LGBTQ language and experience victimization and discrimination at school. Steps should be taken to either pass legislation that explicitly prohibits harassment of students based on their sexual orientation, or Title IX should be amended accordingly so that it includes discrimination based on sexual orientation. Passing the Student Non-Discrimination Act and the Safe Schools Improvement Act can also help ensure that no student is discriminated against in regards of their sexuality in schools and classrooms. Healthcare facilities are also places that can be discriminatory and, as a result, negatively affect the health of LGBTQ people. Many LGBTQ experience hostilities in medical settings, and this can include therapies to change sexual orientation, forced or coercive sterilization, or forced examinations. This makes the healthcare facilities a very unwelcoming environment for many LGBTQ people. We should work towards training staff to treat patients across the board and legalize any unethical examinations. Another issue that is constantly overlooked when it comes to the LGBT community is the lack of representation in media. In today's age, what media represents and includes has a huge effect on its audience. GLAAD organization for LGBTQ plus examined LGBTQ portrayal in cinema. Many big studios were examined on their 2017 movie productions. Three studios received poor ratings, including Walt Disney. Two others received failing, including Warner Bros. Universal Pictures and 20th Century Fox did slightly better but was still rated as insufficient. None of the studios received a rating of good, and nobody's ever received excellent. The movie producers and directors should be pushed to include characters across the spectrum, and specific standards should be set for all studios where action is taken if they fail to meet the bare minimum requirement in including LGBTQ characters and giving them enough time on screen. By recognizing the hardships of LGBTQ people and focusing on some of these solutions, we can all take a step towards equality. It will only be with our joint effort as a society that we can ensure better treatment for our LGBTQ peers.
Okay, I'm Haley.
And how do you identify yourself, like your sexuality wise?
I'm straight.
And what about your ethnicity?
I am Asian.
And how do you think people of LGBTQ plus are perceived in your culture?
They're kind of not welcomed. Honestly, they just kind of ignore it. They don't really talk about it as much. So
Okay, and why do you think they get treated that way?
I honestly, I don't know, and I wish I do know, but I don't know why they're not accepted.
So do you know any relatives or like family members that identify as LGBTQ plus?
Yeah, I do actually.
And would you like to like discuss or like talk about it?
Yeah, I think what happened was they got kicked out of their houses, and one of them had to change their name to, because in my culture, when you change your name, you're a new person. So yeah, things didn't turn out.
Hi, I'm Miriam.
And how do you identify as like for your sexuality?
I'm bisexual.
And what's your ethnicity?
I'm Pakistani.
So how are LGBTQ people perceived in your culture?
I feel like they're like our culture doesn't notice them and stuff, and it did like most of the people don't come out because they're too scared because of our society and our culture, like me.
So how do you think your family or your parents would react if they found out like about your true sexuality?
First, they wouldn't even take me seriously, and if they did, they would probably like kick me out.
And why do you think they would react that way?
Because of how our like society like perceives LGBTQ. They don't like they just don't see it because like they make everything about religion and about
So
culture.
do you identify as a religious person?
Yes, I identify as Christian.
And do you go to a religious place or a church like on a regular basis?
I go to church every Sunday.
And how do the people in your church perceive LGBTQ people?
Well, like according to our religion and like our Bible, it says that basically that being gay is considered a sin. So like in our church, it's not accepted, but at the same time, like my church personally, like they don't discriminate people. Like they still like welcome everybody in.
So if you were to like come out as a person of LGBTQ, so do you think like how do you think they would react to that?
I feel like they would try to talk me out of it, or like make me feel like it's a phase, or like it's not really like what I'm feeling is not valid, basically. So
If somebody would have to like come out as an LGBTQ person in this like the mosque you go to, how do you think like they would get treated by other people who go to that place?
I feel like first of all, if like they wouldn't come out because they would obviously be really scared. But like the main reason they would be scared if they were to come out was like because they don't understand anything, and like they just think like being gay is a sin. And like I personally haven't read about and like anything about that, or like I wasn't informed like that being gay is like a sin. So I feel like how they would be treated like probably not the right way.
And how do you think, because you're already bisexual, so if people around you had to find out like the truth about your sexuality, how do you think like they would treat you, like the people in this religious place?
Oh, I don't think they would be happy about it. They would definitely not be happy about it, and they would just. I don't think they would treat me like the way they would treat me before. Obviously, their attitude, their behavior, it would obviously change with me.
So do you think that's fair, like how LGBTQ people who want to be a part of a religion and want to practice religion get treated in these places?
I feel like it's obviously not fair because it's obviously like a feeling, and some people think it's like a phase, and that you need to get over it. Like it's just gonna like last a couple like for a bit of time, and then you're gonna get over it. But for me personally, no. I'm bisexual and I know that for sure. So no one can like change my mind about it.